We have to be the party of parents. The one thing that is manifest today throughout this country is that school choice and parental involvement is now more important than it's ever been before. I think it is 67% of Democrats, 68% of independents, 70% of African Americans, 74% of Hispanics, 80% of dual income working families all support some form of school choice. After looking at the devastating learning loss and the precipitous drop in scores, we have to lead for parents.
What do you make of the general thing that's happening across the country, which is that the states really do seem to be going in very different directions? I mean, I feel like I live in a different country, honestly. I don't mean that to be
Well, from
hyperbolic.
California to Florida, you moved from almost a different country, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, literally, 3,000 miles, but truly it feels like a different country. Obviously, if you live in South Carolina, that's going to feel very different than living in New York. COVID exacerbated a lot of that.
Yes.
Are you generally okay with that concept?
Well, listen, I think we've had very unique and interesting times in American history where the states felt a tension that at some times was not healthy, and that we overcame that. I do think we're in another one of those moments where we're seeing the states divide amongst themselves naturally. I mean, the good news is when you can work and live where you want to, you move from California to Florida, or you should have stopped, by the way, in South Carolina and called it home. We say those folks who move from like New Jersey to Florida, and then they come back to South Carolina. That's what typically happens over time. We call those folks halfbacks because they went all the way down. They came halfway back. So
Nikki Haley did a number on me too. Yeah. It was on the list. It was on the list. Honestly, yes. I have family in Florida, and that really was like the
They can
final
move up
sale.
to South Carolina too. No problem. We have room for your family as well. We like red voting cards. They're great.
I am a newly registered Republican for the first time in my life at 46 years old.
I love it.
So, all right. So let's do a little bit of projecting going forward here. Obviously, these midterms are coming. Most conventional thinking is there's going to be some kind of red wave. The incumbent party never does that well in the midterms. What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to happen?
Well, if I had my druthers, we would win the Senate with about 2 or 3 seats to spare. We would have the House with when I came into the House in 2010, I think we had 63 new seats in the House. That was a banner year without any question. If I had it my way, we'd have that kind of a red tsunami. What I think is going to happen, I think we will control the House at the end of this election, and there is a decent chance that we can control the Senate as well. We need to execute on the field. The game is coming down to the last 2 minutes. The score is going to be close to tied, and I want to make sure that when you give the ball as a quarterback, you turn and you give your ball to your running back. I'm hoping that Herschel will be jumping over the goal line in the air with the ball secured, no fumbles, and wins back Georgia. And I'm very confident that Ted Budd will do a 4 and out and score on his two-minute drills out there. And I'm hoping that Dr. Oz will be the coach on the sideline and drawing up the play and will execute as he was the Harvard quarterback. So maybe he'll scramble to the left and hit the receiver for a 3-yard score. And then J.D. Vance, I know he's a good author, so I'm not sure if he plays football, but he can kick the extra point, heckfire, and win that race.
I got to tell you, I'm more of a basketball guy, but the references are all working. I'm following.
Good. I'm about done because I started with Herschel. I know nothing about basketball, but maybe we can just get J.D. Vance in to dunk the ball after someone else spikes it. I'm sure you don't spike in basketball.
You don't spike in basketball. All right. So, So if that happens, let's say you get something close to what you want, even if it's not that 3 senators over, et cetera, but you get some of that.
Exactly.
What do you think changes here? What do you think honestly changes?
Well, the first thing that should change if we control both houses is that we start oversight, an oversight objective to rein in this very unwieldy group of Democrats running this country in the Biden administration. They need oversight like a 3-year-old needs a parent to say, don't do this. I mean, literally, we need to bring the oversight hammer down. Number 2, we have to be the party of parents. The one thing that is manifest today throughout this country is that school choice and parental involvement is now more important than it's ever been before. I think it is 67% of Democrats, 68% of the independents, 70% of African Americans, 74% of Hispanics, 80% of dual income working families all support some form of school choice. After looking at the devastating learning loss and the precipitous drop in scores, we have to lead for parents. That's the second thing we should do. And the third thing we have to do, in my opinion, is to control our southern border and build a physical impediment. It is a national security risk. It is a fentanyl and drug risk, and it is 2.5 million illegal crossing in the illegal immigration risk. And finally, what is obvious to all of us, if you just turn the spending off, I believe inflation comes down in a real and manifest way. If you start talking about tax policy that makes sense and predictability in the regulatory state, people with certainty and predictability, they go back to creating jobs. They go back to making sure that they're making long-term investments. That helps to spur the economic engines in a way that attracts jobs back to America, and high-tech manufacturing and the STEM future becomes ours.
I know that no senator wants to be asked this, much less on their birthday. But, I mean, the national ambitions, it seems like you fit in there, man. I mean, it just seems like the message, the tone, as I said, the age, like it seems right to me.
You know, Dave, I'll tell you, my national ambition is to travel this country for the next 7 weeks and my home state in order to win the majorities in the House and the Senate. I am a guy that I figured out one thing several years ago. Applying for jobs is the worst way to get a job. The best way to get a job is to do that job like no one's ever done it before. And that's one of the reasons why in the last 3 weeks or so, I've been to Florence and Myrtle Beach and Columbia and Charleston and Anderson, South Carolina, as well as Rock Hill. And I'll be in Greenville and Spartanburg and Columbia again in the next couple of weeks, but I'm also in Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina in the last just few weeks. And I'll do more of the same in the next few weeks because I believe that the most important thing I can do with my time and my good health is to invest it in the future of America, because one day there will be kids like yours running this country, and we need to make sure they start off looking at the city on the hill. That doesn't happen on accident. And I think for the last few years, we thought it did.
Is that the sort of scariest part of what's going on, that we seemingly have given up just what that flag right behind you represents? Just almost like that, like we just don't, I know we do and the people watching this, but so much of the ethos of America seems to have given up on that dream and that aspirational message.
You know, there's something about, and I don't mean this to be negative and I don't mean this to be insulting, I just mean it to be real. This concept of being a global citizen where everything is all merged together is really unhealthy for the United States of America. The thing that has always been a part of American exceptionalism is not standing apart only, it's standing above. It's leading the world, not being a part of it. I want to help other countries succeed beyond their wildest imagination, but that starts by having America succeeding beyond our wildest imagination. We are the standard. When the standard becomes average, the world becomes subpar.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.